So with all the hype about the new Star Wars movie coming out, I thought I'd show you all an old game that I've had since it was new, pretty much. I think I got this in 1980. I think it came out in 1979. The Star Wars Electronic Battle Command game. This game was one of my favorites as a kid. It's a pretty cool example of doing so much with so little. I mean, basically the game field is, 16 LEDs. And you could do a lot with it. I can't really demonstrate it in action because too many of the LEDs stopped working. It was okay when one LED stopped working, or were two LEDs, it just got a little more challenging. But with three or more, it's impossible. I'm sure it's just a matter of soldering wires back in, but I'm afraid I'm so ham-fisted if I tried to crack the case open, I would literally crack the case open. But I can kind of remember mostly how it worked. You would start out where each of these squares was a sector in space. And if you got an alert, then you knew there was an enemy ship there, and you could warp into that area. And then the field would change, and you would see some dots illuminated and one dot flashing. The flashing dot would be your location in the sector. And the other dots would be either a planet or the enemy ship. Now the thing here is, planets would eclipse anything behind them. So if you were here and you saw a dot here, you wouldn't see anything else here if this were a planet. If this were an enemy ship and you saw another dot there, then you know that would be the enemy ship. Of course, that really wouldn't happen if you just warped in the area. Now, it was a turn-based game, so what you'd have to do is move. And when you moved, the field would change. It actually redrew very slowly. And then so you had to kind of remember what things were. But then it would change because what was eclipsed would not be eclipsed. And new things would be eclipsed. So it became the challenge was to try to figure out what dots turning on or off make sense based on your movement and what don't. And to try to figure out where the enemy was. And then you could either move or you could fire. You can start turn, you can move or fire. And there was another thing I don't really remember too well about force units. It's like how much energy you had. And I think in the early mode, in the larger map mode, the galactic map mode, you were searching for a magna, which I think gave you energy, and then you trying to search for an enemy. You could play 4 players, so you pass off the game from one person to another. I never did that. I may have done 2-player with somebody once or twice. Generally, I just played this on my own against the AI. So you had different levels that you could select there. And I don't remember what these buttons do, however. Tactical reaction buttons. I think SCR was scanner, but I'm not sure what BS and EM were. But it's a pretty cool game for its time. It was a good game for me, or somebody who kind of spots patterns and tries to see little details. He's trying to figure out when you got a new map, what dot might be the enemy, what dot might not be, and then you had to anticipate where that person was going to move and shoot, on your turn, and try to hit him, and not get hit yourself, which happens quite frequently. Maybe someday I'll try to crack the case open and solder it back together, and then I can show you it in action. There are probably other videos that maybe other people have this game, but yeah, I've had this, like I say, since it first came out. I haven't played it in 35 years or so, so it's, but that's my memory of it. It was pretty fun, and that's why I still have it, even though it doesn't work. It just sits on a shelf now as a kind of decoration with some other old electronic games, like the Red Line that you saw in a much earlier video of mine. There's another game there I have that works that I would like to show sometime called Alien Attack. But yeah, there's Star Wars Battle Command.